Hey everybody, well, it hasn't been a super popular video because it doesn't happen to everybody, but I have had a few comments on this Pontiac Torrent that I've been working on, and I haven't made a video on it for a while because I wasn't sure what to do after I replaced all the parts I replaced on it to figure out what the problem was. But I think I found the problem. I think the problem fixed now, so let me tell you what I believe is the problem with these cars when you experience the issue with them dying as you drive down the road, and when you turn the key and nothing happens. They're dead. So let me show you what I did that so far has fixed the problem. Now let me tell you, before I show you, I was really confused about what to do on this thing. So I tried to do research, tried to figure things out. I gave it a lot of thought. I didn't want to, take it to the dealership and spend a bunch of money on them diagnosing problems that they didn't know what was wrong with it. So I just did a lot of research on it and thinking about it. And the solution I came up with, I think, fixed the problem. And the reason I say that is because I just literally last night got back from a trip where I drove the car over 1,000 miles. I probably started it 20 or 30 times during that time. Drove it on the interstate, in town, all over the place. Went to see my family and drove around town, drove on the interstate 70, 80 miles an hour. And it never died on me one time. It never hesitated on me one time. So I think the problem is fixed, but I'm still hesitant to say it is 100% for sure. But I'm 90% sure it is. So let me show you what I had to do to fix this problem. Okay, let's go. So here's what I came up with as a solution for this thing, okay? So this ECM, let me zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. This ECM right there, this ECM is not the ECM that came with the car. This is an ECM that I bought off of eBay. I bought it as a good used ECU. And just so you know, you can buy an ECU off of eBay for like 125 bucks, 150 bucks that's been programmed to work in your car, and it has a warranty and all that. But I was trying to find a cheaper solution. So what I did, and let me show you what I did so you can see. So this is the old ECU that came out of it, okay? What you have to do if you're going to do this, and I'll zoom in here so you can see what I'm talking about. If you notice, there's two numbers you have to pay attention to here. One of them is this number here, 126138888. And the other number is this number here, 12597121. Okay, now if you look at this old ECM, 126138888 and 12597121. Those numbers exactly match between, I don't know if you can see them both or not. I'll try to get it in here where you can see them both. So you can see that both of those numbers match each other. If you look, you can see that. See if I can zoom in just a little bit. So there's the top number. There's the bottom number. You can see they're both the same numbers. So you have to get an ECU that this number here, come on, focus. This number here and this number here are the same. This number here doesn't matter. I don't know what that number is, but it doesn't matter. This number here matters, and this number here matters. And also, if you look, even this YPKJ is the same between both ECUs. See that? So what I had to do, let me zoom back out so I can talk to you. And you can do this, you know, there's different ways you can do this, but this is how I did this. This is the cheapest solution I came up with. By the way, I paid $75 for that ECU shipped to my house, and it came with like a 30-day or 90-day warranty, whatever. I didn't even install it in that time period, but it came with a warranty. If I'd installed it right away, then it, you know, if I'd had a problem with it, it would have been covered. So here's what I had to do. So I had to. You can do it two ways. You can either take the new ECM to the dealership, have them install it and program it for you. Sorry, I'm yawning. Have them install it and program it for you, and I think it was going to be like, I want to say, it's going to be like $300 to install it and program it. Okay, and I asked them what the installation fee was, and I think they told me the installation fee was like $85. Well, it literally takes less than 5 minutes to install one of these, and I wasn't going to pay the $85. So what I did is I drove to the dealership. I made an appointment for them to program the new ECU to work with the car. I drove to the dealership. I parked the car in the parking lot close to the garage doors of the shop. I brought a wrench with me, a 1/2-inch wrench. I took this ECU cover off, took it off, moved it out of the way, took the battery cover off, disconnected the negative terminal on the battery. Then I took this, actually I had this cover off, this plastic cover, I already had it off when I drove to the dealership. I had this cover on so I wouldn't accidentally short the battery. So I had this cover off when I drove to the dealership. So then I just opened up both connectors, pulled the old ECU out, put the new one in, the one I bought off eBay, which is this one. I put it in there, reconnected the battery cable, went inside and told them, okay, you're gonna have to push it in your shop because it doesn't run now because it won't recognize the ECU. Push it in your shop, program it for me, and we'll go down the road. And I think they charged me, I think it was like a $110 diagnostic fee to program it to work. And the one thing I forgot to tell them was, after you put the new ECU in, you need to check for codes, and if there's any codes in there, you need to clear them out and make sure that I don't have any codes on my dash because there was no codes to start with. So I didn't think about that. So they finished the car, they put the new ECU in, they programmed it, the car started right up, no problems. So I got in and drove it home. I noticed the check engine light was on. I called them back and said, hey, my check engine light's on. I didn't have any codes with my old computer. So I think these codes that are in there must be related to the new computer. So I had to take it back to them again, and they erased the codes for me. They charged me a nominal fee for some other stuff they had to do. But they erased the codes, and now I've driven the car. Like I said, I've driven over 1,000 miles on it since I did this. I haven't had any problems with it. Haven't had any issues with it dying on me on the road. Haven't had any issues with it not starting. Nothing like that going on. When I went on my road trip, I took my old ECU with me because what I've determined with these, the reason it's doing this is because with this ECU being under the hood, I think it's probably getting too hot, especially in really hot weather. It's getting too hot and it's overheating the components inside the ECU, and it's causing them to probably have too much resistance internally, and it shuts everything down. They don't work. You let the car sit and cool off. Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a couple days. I mean, there's probably overload stuff in here that shuts off at a certain temperature, and it may take it a while to reset itself. Because I noticed before when this thing would die after 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it would go ahead and start again, and then I would drive and it would die again. So I don't know why it takes so long for this stuff to reset, but it does. But what I did is I took this ECU with me because I thought, well, if it dies on the road, I got some tools in the back. I'll disconnect the battery. I'll take that ECU out. This one here is still programmed to the car. I'll take that one out. I'll put this one in. If it starts up and goes again, then I know it's the ECU for sure. But it never died on me, so I never had a chance to use this. I mean, if I put this in there right now, it would probably work. But the problem is I don't know when it's going to quit working on me. So I'm going to keep it in the car as a backup as I drive it. But I don't think I'm going to need it because at this point I'm pretty sure the problem is fixed. Let me go grab the key and we'll start it up and hear it run. Okay, hold on. All right, I got the key. Let's start it up. Hear how it runs. There you go, you can hear it running. Runs nice and smooth. No problems with that. So I think this was the problem. Okay. But I'm going to keep the old one in the car and I'm going to carry it with me. That way if it dies on the road, then I can throw that on there and see if it helps. But so far it hasn't died. Like I said, I've driven over 1,000 miles. So I think the problem's fixed. I think it is. I think the reason is because there's too much heat under the hood for this thing. And the problem here is there's no place to put this ECU because the wires aren't long enough. There's no place to put this ECU where it doesn't get the engine heat. You know, what GM should have done in their infinite wisdom, which they don't have any obviously, is they should have put this thing in an area where air blows across it, or even up here in the dash or in the grill area where air coming across the grill can keep it cool. Under here you got all this engine heat, and of course the heat's rising up and it hits the hood and it can't go anywhere. So it just heat soaks this thing all day long. It's heat soaking it. And the bad part about all this is there's really no solution. I mean, I thought about taking and wrapping, like insulating stuff around this to keep the heat off of it. You know, but then you're holding the heat of the unit itself inside the insulation. So is that going to work? I don't know. I really don't know a solution. You know, I guess you could drill a hole in your hood and put a hood scoop on it where air blows directly on the ECU if you wanted to do that. But GM doesn't provide you any solutions here. This should have been inside the car somewhere. It should never been under the hood. That's the problem with these cars. With the ECU being under the hood, it's exposed to high heat. Driving down the road on a 100-degree day, the underhood temperatures under this hood are probably in excess of 200, 250 degrees. It's hot under here. It's really hot. And over time, electronics in the heat, they can't take it. So I think that's what the problem is this thing needs to be relocated. GM should provide you with a extension harness you can connect on this one to move this thing like up under in the grill area or something. I wish I had a better solution, but I don't. I'm going to leave it there, and you know, I know some of these cars it works fine, other ones that don't. This ECU came out of a car that was in a junkyard. It was wrecked. It was driving down the road when it was wrecked, so it was working. But is it going to work for, you know, a week, a month, a year, 10 years? I don't know. I don't know why some of them work and some of them don't. Probably depends on the climate you're in. If you're in Alaska, you probably never have this problem. If you're in, you know, Missouri where I am, or even south of here, you know, the further south you get, if you're down in Texas, I wouldn't even want to drive this car in Texas because it probably would die on you all the time. I would have to pay somebody to figure out a way to move this wire harness to another location. Or drill a hole in my hood and put a hood scoop on my hood where air's blowing on it all the time. But I think the problem is fixed. I don't know that for sure. And I will say this, one problem I'm still having is, after all the work I did, and it really makes me mad, it doesn't happen a lot, but one problem that I still have on occasion is the stupid key sticking in the ignition. It still does that. And I have a solution for that that's going to permanently resolve that issue. I'll make another video on that sometime. But replacing the neutral safety switch, the ignition switch, and the ignition lock did not help. I was told by other people that if I go to the dealership and I have them make me a new key, that would probably resolve the problem. But you know what? This key is a special key. The dealership they want like $50 or $75 to make this key. I mean, it's ridiculous. So I think I know another solution that I'm going to try first, and if it works, I'll let you know. So let me try it first. It's kind of an unorthodox solution. If you want to do it, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But I'm going to try it and see if it works. So that's it for this for now. I believe the problem is fixed. I cannot guarantee you 100% that it is, but I would say after driving it for the last 5 days and over 1,000 miles, starting it multiple times, shutting it off, starting it multiple times, it never died on me on the highway one time. Never had any issues. No check engine lights, nothing. So I think the problem is fixed. I'll keep driving it, and if it comes back, I'll let you know. But other than that, I think the problem's fixed. I'm about 95% sure it's fixed, maybe 96.2%, you know, something like that. But I'm not 100%, but I think the problem is fixed. So if you have this problem, it's not a fun thing, but you're probably going to have to get yourself another ECU. I would recommend, in my case, I'm a mechanic. I know how to do all this stuff, so it's no big deal. But I would recommend that you go and buy a new ECU off of eBay that's been reprogrammed to fit your car, because they take those ECUs in, they test them, they bench test them. They supposedly replace any parts that are defective on them. I'm not sure if they do or not, but or you can do what I did and save a little money and just find one that's got the same number as yours does on eBay and buy it. You know, whatever you want to do. But one thing you need to know is if you buy one that's reprogrammed to your car, you're still probably going to have to take it to the dealership, because there's something to do with the crankshaft sensor that it won't recognize it even with it reprogrammed. So you may have to go to the dealership and have them clear that code for you. I had that code in here after I took it away from the dealership. I had that code in here. I don't remember what the code was, but it was a code with a crankshaft sensor. And I called them up and I'm like, why didn't you clear that code out? And they said, well, bring it up and we'll clear it out. So that was part of what they did. I've got one of these, you know, one of these little scanners you buy at Walmart for $19.95, whatever. I got several of these, and I used one of them to try to clear the code, and it refused to clear the code. It would not clear the code. So I had to take it to the dealership, and they had to clear it for me. But, you know, I think I've spent a total with buying the ECU, paying the dealership the first time to program it, the second time to do the other stuff they did. I think I've got a total of about between $400 and $500 in this fix. So it's not cheap, but if your car's dying on the highway, it's better than, you know, being stranded out in the middle of nowhere. So anyhow, guys, that's my solution. I hope it helps somebody. I hope somebody can use this video, and I'll keep working on it and working on other stuff, making videos. But I appreciate you guys watching. That's it for now. 2008 Pontiac Torrent is fixed, I believe, 96.2%. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye. Talk to you later.